Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
The tension is heightened in each series, but for two very different reasons. With only 2 races to go, the MX-5 battle has closed dramatically, while the GT3s look almost wrapped up. How will the drivers react to this pressure? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the PRL GT Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The MX-5s will experience a rather large track for a rather small car. Let's take a look at Interlagos and see what it entails. Welcome to Autodromos Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida del Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Juchao, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo. Well, DJ, it might be a little hazy out here today, but maybe you could shed some light on how these cars will handle around here.
Well, Joe, the biggest story about today is going to be the draft on the run from the junction all the way down into the Senna S. That is going to be a big draft zone, and look for a lot of drivers to take advantage and try to make a pass out into the Senna S. You can also do the same thing on the Retro Oposta coming out of the Curva del Sol and down into the Descida do Lago. Those are going to be the two areas of the track where you're going to see the most passing. From there on out, it's a little bit of a different track entirely. Tight, twisting infield section here. You've got to be very careful to try to carry that momentum. As we often talk about the lateral load in these cars, you want to let it ride all the way to the end and try to do it as much as possible. So it's going to be a fantastic battle, I think. And well, these cars may not be made for this track. It's going to be good no matter what.
Yeah, it tends to put on a pretty fun show here. But before we get to that show, we want to mention that our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced SimRacing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL GT Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Now, last week had a big effect here on the championship. Bradley Holly, Jose Gonzalez, and Otis Adams Jr. all had poor races, while Kelly Greenhoe went on to finally win one this season. And that has closed all four of those drivers down to within 8 points within each other, as Gonzalez and Adams even tied in that second place. So this could be another definitive race here today on that championship hunt. Ryan Kings pretty much is almost mathematically out of it. If he honestly loses, I think it's 1 or 2 points to Bradley Holly. He will actually be out of it in the final round. From there on down, you can see it's still pretty close between Ryan and many of the drivers chasing him. So he still has stuff that he needs to fight for and wants a good result today. What about the teams championship here in the MX5s?
Well, it's a little more spread out in that team's championship, Joe, with hashtag not a team leading Oh God right turns by a whopping 108 points. That championship almost completely sewn up here now. Road Warriors about 62 points or so back from Oh God right turns, and Crikey No Breaks about 18 points back from them, with TTT Gaming about 15 points back. Starts to spread out a little bit more than back to Unlimited Slip Racing, but Iceberg Racing in a nice little battle with them. The Hacks back there with 245 points back. 5-5 Motorsport and Sweet 16X round out your top 10.
Yeah, that team's championship could be clinched tonight. We'll see whether or not it does in this race that is going to last 35 minutes. And they have an open setups series here for the MX5, so drivers can try and tweak to find a little bit more comfort and speed, even though there's no aerodynamics to really mess with on these cars. They have some penalties that they do hand out if you abuse the track limits. 13 incidents will be a drive-through, 17 will be a DQ. This is a modern F1 track, so it is going to be easy to rack those up while still racing competitively. And then bonus points for fastest lap for 3 incidents or less, and of course, for what they're fighting for right now, which is the pole position. They've got about 4.5 minutes left here. But Mark Kalin has been a bit of a surprise this evening. He has been fast in the warm-up and fast now in the qualifying. He's got half a second over Cervantes, who sits next to him on the front row. Kings is doing pretty good once again. Very close to that front row, about less than a tenth off of Cervantes, with Odis Adams Jr. and Giancarlo Lenzi. But where in the world is Bradley Holly? Because I'm trying to find him here. Oh, he's down in 7th right now, and he's actually not out on the track. So Holly seems to be struggling here in qualifying.
Yeah, and I would say that's a little bit of a concern, Joe. But as we said, I think there's plenty of speed to be gained around here during the race itself. There's going to be plenty of toe battles around here. So plenty of time for Bradley to be able to kind of claw his way back in. The other driver here, Kelly Greenhoe, very, very surprising. 12th is a little bit far back, although that's going to be a better time for Kelly, though not going to move him up the standings.
You might wonder, how did one race hurt Bradley Holly, since they do have the drop weeks in this series? Well, he missed round 2. He was not able to attend that one, so that counts as his drop week, and every bad race that he has just brings him down. But he's had 5 top 5s out of the 8 races so far, so he has been very consistent. Otherwise, it's just unfortunate that it has bit him the second that he's had a little bit of a slip up. And guys like Odis Adams Jr., who's been very fast this season, are going to be trying to take advantage of it. And look at the draft train that's starting to form here amongst a bunch of these drivers right now. So I wonder if we could see some changes in the order, as a few of them are able to pick up a good toe down the Retta Aposta.
Well, and remember, Joe, that these cars are not aero dependent, so it's not like you're going to be dealing with a lot of aero wash coming through that tricky middle sector. So this is about the perfect spacing for these cars to be as they go on the Retro Aposta and down the long front straightaway. I like the call here from a lot of these guys, and I do think some of these times are going to fall.
So as he dives down through the Descida del Lago, Odis getting a pull from Christian Lisiak, who's actually down in 17th. So he's not terribly fast, and hopefully he doesn't slow him up through this more technical infield section, where it's going to be more single file, although there could be some surprises by some drivers if we get some tight fights during the race. But we'll see how it all plays out, as the clock already down to a minute and a half left to go. So next time these drivers cross the line should be their last flying lap that they're going to be starting. So they're going to hope for some good results here, seeing who is on a good one right now. And actually, Mark Kalin's pulling along Bradley Holly, but I think Holly is on an outlap. Yes, he's on an outlap, so it looks like he's not going to improve here. But if he can stick with Mark on this next time by, on this last time around, he could have a very good one indeed, as somebody pulls off to the side to call it quits on their qualifying.
Yeah, I think that was Ryan Scott. Ryan currently down in 14th position. He just put down a 52.8. Not going to be able to improve there with that lap. This is a good one for Bradley Holly. Oh, I think that was Danny Cervantes spinning in the background.
Yeah, Holly just starting his last chance at it and getting a nice toe. Lisiak not able to improve. Adams Jr. didn't either. Looks like nobody in that group until you get down to Coimbra, who has jumped up into 8th in that number 65 machine, a 151.9, actually a full second quicker than his previous best lap. So big improvement for that 65 car.
Yeah, he'll be very, very pleased with that. And along with that, on that last lap, it was a purple sector 1. So a good run there from him. Bradley Holly showing a little bit of improvement here. I'm seeing a personal best sector for him, a 28.18 in that first sector. That is pretty quick.
We're going to get our first drivers taking the checkered flag here in a second. Ian Cabana and Jason Larson. And I'm trying to see, it looks like Cabana's not on a flyer, but Larson is. It doesn't appear to be fast, though. So as he crosses the line, no, he's not able to go quicker. And that's it for him. Kalin and Holly will be the next up to try and improve. And Holly is close to going faster, but it's not looking promising. If he does go quicker, it won't be a lot. That said, he doesn't need a huge improvement to try and jump up multiple positions.
Yeah, it's very, very close here. A second separating the top 11 right now. There you see Bradley just poking his nose out as that was going to be Kalen coming down pit lane. Let's see if the 184 is able to improve at all on this lap. No, he's going to stay in 7th.
Bartlett Chase next one, and he does not go quicker. Malcolm Foster, who's down to 19th, he needs a good result here. 2.5 seconds off the pole time right now. As Foster crosses, he does not get it. He is going to stay put. Adams Jr., what about him? 51.3. That's a jump up to the front row for the 22 car in his hopes to try and take this championship. But no, he's immediately taken off of there by Jose Gonzalez.
A great run there for Jose with a 151.35, able to pip Odisse Adams Jr. there by about 100th of a second, 13 thousandths it looks like by my timing and scoring. So very, very close runs there at the top.
So I think we're going to see Michael Chase and Ryan Kings, and that is it for the drivers that can set another time here. But Chase looks like he might be coming into pit lane. Yes, he is. That is it for him. What about Ryan Kings in that number 43? He just needs 82 thousandths of a second, but he doesn't like this lap. He is going to abandon it, and that will end our qualifying for the evening and take us to our starting grid for today's race. It is going to be Mark Kalin who takes that bonus point for the pole. He has found a lot of pace recently in these MX-5s. Jose Gonzalez will start from second. Next to him, Odisse Adams Jr. will be third. So there's two of your championship contenders right there. Danny Cervantes, P4 for him, as Ryan King starts from fifth, and Giancarlo Lenzi from P6, who's had a couple of poor races after he had some great results back-to-back there for a while. Michael Chase will start from 7th, as Bradley Hawley will begin from way down in P8. Not sure what's not jiving with him here. Paulo Coimbra will start from 9th, and Andrew Venaro will be 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Ian Cabana, followed by Brett Carricope with Kelly Greenhoe, and even more surprising, 13th place. Kevin Berquist will be outside him in 14th, with Ryan Scott and Jason Larson behind them. It's going to be Christian Lisiak and Austin Bartlett Chase in row 9, with Malcolm Foster and Ken Cook making up the top 20. David Hebert and Simon Doyle round out your field.
Do not see Simon Doyle in the session right now, so it looks like we will only get 21 drivers gridding up here today for this standing start. And not sure if we have time for our onboard cams, but we got a couple of them. And it looks like, yeah, Kelly Greenhoe going to be our first one here, with Brett Carricope also showing us his. And then Mark Kalin from the pole position. What can he do from there? And Bradley Hawley, who still leads the championship, but is not looking so hot today. Where will he sit after this evening's racing is done and taking himself into the final round, where you cannot drop the race in the final round? So you have to come and perform for that last one. Just about have everybody on the grid. We're waiting for Gonzalez on the front row. Looks like Chase still isn't there, and neither is Coimbra. I should clarify, Michael Chase, looks like Bartlett Chase also just gridded up. And as we said, we're not expecting Simon Doyle in here either. So we are going to have to wait till the last one, being Jose Gonzalez, making sure to be fashionably late here. And there he is. So the engines will now start to rev as the lights come up for the penultimate round here in the MX-5 Cup Series. And the green flag is out. Off the line. Oh, it's a horrible start for Cervantes. He spins the wheels and nearly runs it into the inside wall. Catches it in time, but Lindsay is able to sneak through pretty quickly as they fly down into the Senna S. Kalin retains the lead. Gonzalez is going to be in second, but he goes very wide on that first corner. Behind him, a big cut across for Ryan Kings. Is he going to get a slowdown penalty? Yes, he is.
And that is Michael Chase that's having a little bit of a spin out there. I'm not sure if that was contact or if he just spun the rear tires a little bit. Also a little bit of team tactics, I think, as Jose Gonzalez looked like he let his teammate of Odisse Adams Jr. on by.
You can see Chase Kings having to give away tons and tons of time, and finally he is cleared of his black flag. So Kalen now ahead of Udis Adams Jr. Gonzalez back to third because of that shallow run. How about Giancarlo Lenzi up 2 spots, and we're not even halfway through the first lap?
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about, Joe. Being aggressive into those first couple of corners. It's going to be follow the leader from here on out, going down through this middle sector. But the first part of the lap, GL doing exactly what he needs to do.
So other drivers having issues helped out Danny Cervantes with his bad start. He's only lost 1 position, and could have been a whole lot worse there in that yellow and red machine. But Bradley Holly and Ryan Kings are behind them as Kings tries to cut down underneath into the duckspill. He's able to hold on to that 6th place. Holly, though, has got to start making some inroads.
Well, it looks like he's going to try to make a little bit of an inroad there on Ryan King's going to maybe think about a look there into Junsao, as there he's going to have to back up the corner a little bit, hope to get a double draft from Cervantes and Kings and be able to get a good run here.
So what is this going to look like? This will give us our first impression whether or not these draft trains are going to be hard to shake. Right now, Adams actually looking like he is pulling away from Gonzalez a little bit with the tow from Kalen. And Kalen naturally tries to go defensive down into the first corner. Will he be able to hold back the 22 as they break into it? Looks like he is clean, but Lenzi's feeling aggressive. He's trying to take 3rd away from Gonzalez, and he does.
He's got to be careful, though. That was very close to running wide down through the latter part of the Senna S as they now work their way through the Curva del Sol. And we're going to be side by side for the lead between Udis Adams Jr. and Mark Kalen.
Now, I'm pretty certain Kalen has not won a race this season, but I need to check and see if he's ever won a race in the MX-5 Cup Series, as he's going to have to defend down into the Descida del Lago for the 2nd time this lap. And this time, looks like Adams is able to pull off the corner just as well. But watch out for Giancarlo Lenzi. He is starting to rock up behind them, and he's hoping for this sort of battle as they bang doors.
Banging doors coming up through Ferradura. It looks like it's going to be advantage to Udis Adams Jr. Here comes Giancarlo Lenzi trying to make it a 2-for-1 pass down into SA, and that's not going to happen. Everybody's filing back into single file.
And look at Cervantes. He is now back up to 4th where he began this race. Fantastic job from him. So I don't think he's out of the running as we watch the onboard cam with Mark Kalen. He may have lost the lead, is behind him. There's a little off for Cervantes. He gets back onto the track. You can see he's now under attack from Ryan Kings, looking around the outside into the junction.
Thinking about it there for Kings, but that's going to open up the door a little bit for Bradley Holly. Kings gets a wonderful run out of the junction, though. Really starts to push out past Subidos Dos Boxes. It's going to be a straight-up drag race between himself and Cervantes.
Oh, look at this. It's a double-wide tow for Bradley Holly behind them as they are nearly touching doors coming up the front stretch at 115 miles an hour. Gives himself a little bit more space now. Does Cervantes, going to the inside, but Holly elects not to try and make it 3 wide down into the Senna S. Will he be able to follow Cervantes through? He wants to, but he gets loose. He catches the car just in time, but he's now very slow as by goes Gonzalez, and it looks like Coimbra wants to go through too.
And it looks like there was a problem there behind. I think that was Berquist. Karakov caught up in that. Maybe Gonzalez as well. Just a couple of drivers that they are behind.
Yeah, that was Berquist making a move on Karakov, and unfortunately it took both of them out. Oh, but Kalen's back at the lead as he's going to get a great run coming out of the Descida del Lago. Adams will have the inside down into the Ferradura. How hard does he fight it? This was the position he was in last time, but this time they don't make contact. Giancarlo Lenzi not as eager to try and get himself involved, although this might leave an opening into Essa. No, not quite.
And not going to be able to make it there. GL just needs to have a little bit of patience here. You're not really able to build up much of a run coming through up into the Bico de Pato here, but that's not going to stop him from trying to poke his nose to the outside. They all go single file. Looks like Lenzi's got a good run.
And that slip up into the first corner from Holly has actually gapped everybody now. Looks like Ryan Kings is the last of that front group, whereas it went way down the order for some time. It looks like 9/10 of a second. That might be enough, but it'll be close on whether or not Jose Gonzalez can pull the toe on him.
We'll have to see as they pull their way down. It's going to be a straight drag race now between Lindsay and Kalen. That's Lindsay all the way down to the inside, trying to make the shortest distance from point A to point B, and I think he's barely going to be able to slot in front of Kalen.
Yeah, run off into the grass for Kalen slowed him up, and now that allows Adams Jr. to start to pull some distance as well. Down to the inside goes Kalen, getting the spot right back, and Lindsay has to do it all over again.
All right, that's why you don't want to make the pass too early out of the junction, while you want to try to get it down into the center S, prevent that cutback. But here comes the second cutback opportunity down the retro Oposta, seeing what he can do. I think GL's a little bit far back. May see a move here from Ryan Kings on Danny Cervantes, though.
Oh, he wanted it, but he gets chopped off at the nose. I'm glad that they didn't spin one another, because that just about was contact between them. As they cut through the mist into Ferradura once again, Adams still leads ahead of Kalen, but I'm impressed. Mark gathered back up that gap very quickly.
Yeah, very much so. Really able to recover that well. Kalen's clearly got some speed, although that car does look a little bit twitchy. It looks a little bit snap loose here coming around the corners. He's had some problems getting everything together. I think now that the tires are up to temperature a little bit more, it's going to help him out, but still not ideal.
And behind them, Gonzalez got passed by Holly, who has pulled the gap down slightly up to Kings. Now it looks like Cervantes is the one trying to go past on Lindsay there in the background, but is unable to execute on that overtake. They fly out of the junction. This time, Kalen's able to keep it on the track, and let's see who is going to go for the move.
I think here it's going to be advantage Danny Cervantes, as he is tucked in behind Giancarlo Lenzi right now. Looks like Kelly Greenhoe is able to make a move up in the back, but here comes Mark Kalen. Does he have anything for Odise Adams Jr.? He certainly looks like he's got the toe.
He's got a lot of speed. The 22 is going to cover the inside as they approach the braking into this downhill left-hander. It'll switch back. This might be the outside for the first part, if he can just hold on, and he does. He's got an advantage, but it slips through his fingers as Adams has a better run, and so does Lindsay. Lindsay now into second, and he's got a nice draft from Odise Adams Jr. Does he go from third to first in a couple corners?
I think he's thinking about it. I think he's going for it, Joe. He's going to have to be a late breaker here. That is Kalen all the way to the inside with a mega move.
And there's yet more of them coming through. Cervantes, oh, but he runs out of space. He had such great steam, and he gets boxed in. And then that's Ryan Kings now almost making it 3 wide, but deciding against it.
Oh my goodness, are these guys ever going to get back to single file here? They slowly start to work their way out. That Cervantes having a big wide run there as he's going to find losing a position maybe to Bradley Holly. They're going to be too wide.
This is frantic stuff here. And this is the penultimate round again. They still have one more to go. They need to collect points here today to put themselves in a good position for the finale. But it seems like everybody is eager to get those points here today, as a little bit of a wide run out of the Ducks bill for Lenzi.
Yeah, a little bit of a wide run there for him. That's going to slow him down just a little bit more and may open up the door here, as that's going to be Cervantes starting to plug in behind.
So as they once again work their way up to the first corner, this has been all sorts of all over the place, and the drivers have got to try and keep it clean. Looks like Kalen's going to have another move, but again, he is going to be to the outside. Adams talking a little bit on the radio, Tim. Not sure what that was about. Behind them, looks like Kings and Cervantes go wheel to wheel, but Cervantes comes out ahead. But then there's another bite of the apple as they once again get another long straight on the Retta Aposta.
And I think Joe Odise was saying something about the bump draft there, that he thought it may have been a little bit too aggressive from Mark Kalen. But Kalen giving him another one here on the Retro Aposta. Everybody trying to see what they've got. Odise Adams Jr. able to break ahead with that bump draft and get it woed back up. He's going to have about a 0.4 of a second advantage as they now work their way out of the Decido do Lago.
And Holly's now joined the fray. He is at the back of them. They might get Coimbra, Gonzalez, and Greenhoe, who are still within range that they could start to pull up behind them. As they break for Essa, it is Adams leading Kalen, leading Lindsay. A little bit of a wide run for Mark.
And that is Gonzalez around, and the number 12 being collected in that as well, I believe. That's Kelly Greenhoe.
Oh, one of our championship rivals. And, oh my goodness. And Gonzalez as well. So that was second and fourth in points, losing multiple positions. Kelly's now in 13th. Jose is in 14th.
Yes, he is. As we keep going here, that is going to be a very, very big hole to climb out of here for Kelly Greenhoe.
This is the worst thing they could have wanted right now, because that makes it extremely hard if they finish down this low once they get to the final rounds, because they basically need to hope for some bad luck for the fellow drivers. It looks like a bump draft here between Lindsay and Cervantes, and that's Kings in behind them. Once they get through here, we'll try and head to a replay of that incident. But a little look from Ryan, a little look from Danny, but neither of them get the spot away from Lindsay. Although they could have a better cut back here. No, doesn't appear to be the case.
No, it's going to stay single file behind them. Bradley Holly taking a little bit of a look up to the inside there of Ryan Kings is in front of them. That's going to be Giancarlo Lenzi and Danny Cervantes. We're Noah's Ark down the Retro Posta.
So Kalen leads, Adams is in second, Lindsay and Cervantes third and fourth, but still wheel to wheel between Kings and Holly. And Holly has to give up the ghost finally as Kings rebuffs him in that number 43. Unless, are we getting another move? It almost looked like we were for a second. No, they're finally single file. Maybe we finally have a chance now to take a look at the replay of what happened to Gonzalez and Greenhoe.
So this is coming up the hill out of Ferradura. Oh, it looks like Greenhoe just didn't get his braking down in time and just kind of ran into the back there of the 83 of Gonzalez.
Yeah, let's watch from on board. Does he see an opening? Yeah, he thought there was an opening and just timed it wrong. The two came together, climbed on top of his car, unfortunately, with a lot of sparks flying. Greenhoe's back up into 12th already. Gonzalez is not able to follow him through quite yet, at least. Malcolm Foster is the next one up that has split the pair of them. So as we carry on, we're getting close to the halfway mark now in this race. So we should see some pit stops happen. Bartlett Chase was in there much earlier. Not sure if that was scheduled. In fact, I don't think it was, because he had a 3:27 pit stop on that. So highly likely he had some kind of damage he needed to stop and have worked on. As the train now envelops what looks like 6 drivers down to Holly from Kalen there at the top.
Yeah, Joe, and to that point about pit stops, as we see here, Gonzalez coming down, that's Greenhoe coming down pit lane. I'd be a little bit worried about trying to peel off early here. If you're going to come down pit lane, you've got to do it with somebody else. You do not want to lose the benefit of this draft around this track.
And I think Greenhoe missed his pit stall too. I'm checking. Yeah, he missed it. And then he, even after backing up the first time, had to back up again to get in there. So this is going to be a very costly one. Greenhoe might have to kiss his chances goodbye. So we continue to watch our top 6 down into the Ferradura once again. The order is now Kalen, Adams, Lindsay, Cervantes, Kings, and Holly. But it hasn't looked quite as chaotic as it did before. I wonder if they're starting to realize they need to try and maybe play this on strategy instead.
Yeah, that may be it. It's also a little bit of those opening lap jitters, I think, going out. Maybe drivers getting into a little bit of fuel-saving mode here. And probably as soon as we say that, Joe, we're going to see an absolutely explosion of passing coming out of Junction, but we'll have to see how it pans out.
Always seems to be the case. As soon as we make a prediction up in the booth, though, someone goes and tries to prove us wrong. And yeah, somebody's looking to the inside. That's Kings on Cervantes, but that's going to make both of them slow. And Holly says, thank you very much. I'll try and use that to my advantage. And he is going to go down to the inside of Ryan Kings. How far along can he get here, and can he complete the pass?
Well, if he's able to get the right draft here off of Cervantes. Oh, a couple of drivers coming down pit lane. That's Kalen, Cervantes, and Holly.
What's interesting about that is that's all 3 of our oval racers. I don't think they're on the same team, though. Yeah, no, they are not on the same team racing here in the MX-5s, and Cervantes missed his pit stall as well. So multiple drivers having issues trying to find their marks here today. But it does appear that there is some camaraderie amongst our oval runners, maybe using that to their advantage to try and run their own race separately.
Yeah, could be good little battle here in the back between teammates. That is Larson and Cabana as they go down now into the corner. That's going to be the 13 of Jason Larson, able to get that move done.
4 of them in total in this group, fighting for 4th position now that we've had a couple more pit stops, allowing them past. And will we see a fight back between the Crikey No Brakes cars? Doesn't seem like it. Although a little peek to the inside from Cabana. He kind of wants it back, but that was a half-hearted move from him. Did get his teammate off to the side of the racing line. Andrew Monaro just still giving watch back in the teal, orange, and yellow machine. And then that is Christian Lisiak there behind them, sitting in 7th.
Yes, it is. And a little bit of a look again from the 774 as they go, trying to see what it is. Just timing that run off of the junction here. That is the crucial corner on this track, as we've seen time and time again. Looks like Larson's able to build a little bit of an advantage there over his teammate. Hopefully that'll help pull him along a little bit.
Okay, so if you're in the shoes of Adams, Lindsay, and Kings, do you pit this time? And they say yes, except for Kings, who stays out. Oh, but Lindsay hits Adams on his way into the pit lane. I'm not sure how much damage is on the car from that. Trying to see from our cameras here. I think he got away with it. I'm looking closer on my angle, and it looks like he's clean.
Yeah, it looks like both of them are clean, so very lucky, but that's the
tires. He should not be taking tires. He's going to be very slow in this pit stop unless... Yeah, he's a little bit slow, and there goes Giancarlo Lenzi. Past him, about 3 seconds difference between them. But Lenzi, maybe his was actually too fast. About 14 seconds stop when everybody else is actually running about 16 seconds. So that may have been just a free set of right-hand side tires for Odise Adams Jr.
Well, look at that, Joe. Even despite that, they are able to get themselves out ahead of Kalen Cervantes and Holly, so that's still a net win for these two.
However, remember last race when Giancarlo Lenzi did not put in enough fuel? Has he not learned his lesson potentially? Or was he actually saving and was able to just cut that much off of his pit time? He's not in the lead right now, but it might wind up being the effective lead. We still need Kings to take a stop, and then that will give us the actual order amongst them.
Yes, we do, as we focus back in a little bit on that battle right there. I believe that is the 34 and the 11. That's Chase and Foster, who are also ahead of our perennial leaders.
Let's take another look at that replay on the pit entry. And clearly GL was practicing that pit entry, because I'm pretty certain he would have made the pit speed limit in time, but he just did not bank on how much more aggressive. Oh, maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe he wouldn't have if he didn't have hit him. Maybe that acted as an extra brake that he didn't plan on.
Yeah, maybe. He could have just been overcooking it there a little bit as we watch this replay yet again. Him coming down, he was carrying a whole bunch of speed. You know something, Joe? I got to think he may not have made that pit lane if he hadn't had that little bit of contact.
Yeah, it was awful close, but he's also lucky that he didn't get any damage out of it. So with many of the other drivers pitting in, Venaro, Lisiak have taken service and just about exiting now. We're waiting on Chase and Kings, both making it to lap 11. Could see them go as far as about 13 to 12 minutes to go.
We could indeed. My concern here for Ryan Kings, though, is just stretching this out without having those drafting partners. We're seeing Lenzi and Odise Adams Jr. swap positions around back and forth a little bit, helping each other out in that draft. Lenzi may be thinking he did underfuel the car a little bit, needing to be back in that dirty air to be able to get the benefit of the draft to save a little bit. But one way or the other, Kings is running out by himself, and that is going to be slower than running in a group.
Yeah, Adams could wind up being GL's biggest friend out on track. if he is able to save enough fuel to make it to the finish. That's assuming that he did short fuel and didn't get enough in there. We're just going on the pit stop time, which sometimes doesn't tell the whole story, as at times iRacing does have a small variance in those pit stop times. And that could be the explanation on this as well. But coming up to the junction, well, we get, no, King stayed out. Chase is approaching the pit entry now. Let's see if Chase goes in. And there is the pit entry line. This is the old version, and he does come in. So that's going to leave Kings and a Bear still needing to take a stop.
Yes, it does. And those two, the only ones that have not pitted. Now, I'm trying to do a little bit of math here, which is always scary, but I think Ryan Kings does look like he is losing out a little bit to Odise Adams Jr. I think he's going to find himself right in the middle of that battle between Lindsay and Kalen, and that would be incredible news for Mark Kalen. That would be one more card that he would be able to use as a little bit of a leapfrog.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs right now with that 1.3 second gap, but he'll have to wait at least one more lap for it. Where did Michael Chase wind up? He is in 13th after he exits the pits. That might actually be 14th. Nope, he's going to be able to outrun Gonzalez. Wow. Man, Gonzalez is still down in 14th. He's not made up the time that he lost hardly at all. And Greenhoe is back down in 16th, but I'm seeing that Kelly Greenhoe had to come back down pit lane for a drive-through. I wonder if he hit the incident limit.
I think he may have, especially with that big 4X in contact that we saw him have with Gonzalez earlier. Yeah, it just seems like here that both of them just don't have pace today. Gonzalez able to put down a cracking qualifying time, but just not able to back it up in race trim.
So what this will mean is that Kelly and Jose aren't out of the racing mathematically, at least as they sit right now. They aren't out of the championship, but they are going to have a very difficult time trying to take the championship, and it effectively is out of their hands. They can only take the best finish possible and need a bad finish from their rivals to be able to get the championship. So it might wind up being down to between Holly and Odise Adams Jr., but Adams Jr. at only 5 points back from Holly coming into this race with Bradley down in 6. It might actually be the 22 leading the points after this is done. King's there in his pit stall. Adams just coming up to the braking right now as Kings starts to roll, but Kings is going to be way behind. He did not make up time on them.
No, he did not. He may be able to come out and catch on to the back here of Bradley Holly, but even that is going to be a little bit potentially out of range. 1.2 seconds. Yeah, that option to stay out and go for the overcut, not coming back to benefit the 43.
Oh, so Ryan Kings, unfortunately. Oh, and somebody's off. That's Michael Chase. He's off in the runoff of the Senna S. He had a little contact with David Hebert, and I think this was all on Chase as he just outbraked himself and then smacked into the wall.
Yeah, and you can do that, just carrying a little bit too much speed, but look at that gap Odise Adams Jr. has pulled. I am getting a sneaking suspicion here that Giancarlo underfueled that car yet again, and he's having to go into mega fuel conservation mode.
Yeah, that 1.4 seconds between himself and Adams Jr. does not bode well. He does have Mark Kalen starting to get close, and if Mark goes by him, maybe he could start to ride the slipstream from him, but he's got to do so for 10 more minutes as we come up to the junction, and we're going to be starting lap 14 here pretty soon in the penultimate round of the PRL MX5 Cup Series as they start to accelerate away. It is a good run out of that left-hander for Giancarlo Lindsay as he's cutting down on the gap now.
Yeah, he's able to bring it in a little bit. It's coming under 1.2 seconds right now, but crucially, he needs it to be under a full second to be able to get maximum effect from that draft. Now, Kalen behind him coming down under about 0.4 of a second here. I don't think he's going to go for a move, but he is definitely closing in. They may want to play a little bit of leapfrog to try to catch up to Odise Adams Jr.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to work together for sure. Cervantes and Holly also back there. So those three that we mentioned that all pitted together, Kalen, Cervantes, Holly, maybe they're the ones that will start trying to cooperate out on the track, or will Kalen simply go for the move on GL? He wanted to and then decided to lift.
Yeah, decided to lift out of it a little bit there, but now as they work their way through the Descida do Lago, it seems like this is the part of the track that Giancarlo is a little bit slow, and Kalen knows it. He's going for the move.
Down to the inside, and GL gives him a lot of space till the second apex where he pinches down a fair bit, and then into SA. That is job done for Mark Kalen. Into P2.
Well, now the question is Kalen able to pull away a little bit from Giancarlo Lenzi, because that little bit of squabbling has cost them about 0.8 of a second up to Odisse Adams Jr.
Don't think Kalen's even had a podium yet in this season. And looking through the finishing results, yeah, no podiums at all for that number 62 machine. So this is already looking pretty good. He's had 2 top 5s thus far, but none of them have been standing on any of the steps that spray champagne. And oh no, Giancarlo Lenzi is being given a black flag for incident limits, it appears. He does not serve it this time by. Where did he pick that up? Was that just an off track?
I think it was. I think he pushed a little bit too wide coming out of the junction, and that's enough to have picked it up for him.
Well, we know one of those came from the pit entry, unfortunately. And yet again, he's going to find this race unfolding around him as he actually pulls off to the side a little bit. Not sure if he's simply letting them through, knowing he's not really racing them. Wants maybe Mark Kalen to be able to go and or Cervantes to go and chase down Kalen and Adams. There goes Bradley Holly now up into 4th position for the 184 car.
Yeah, and crucially here for Mark Kalen, that he has pulled that gap down to 1.5 seconds, so all able to get that.
Well, Adams Jr., who's got himself a 1.5 seconds over everybody else, was slightly quicker in the pit stalls. I'm not sure if he's also having to conserve just a little bit at the end himself. We're down to less than 7 minutes to go, and we still have a group of 6, but it's going to become 5 probably this time by, since we're expecting Giancarlo Lenzi to have to come in and serve his pit stop penalty.
Yeah, I think that was what you saw from him on the earlier part of this lap was the gentlemanly thing to do, just getting out of the way, letting these drivers go on by him. Now as we start to climb the hill, Mark Kalen again taking out about 0.4 of a second in the middle sector of this lap. He has got that gap down to about 1 second.
Interesting. What a shock win it would be for Mark Kalen as we watch Giancarlo Lenzi serve his drive-through penalty down to the braking of the Senna S. Kalen had it down to roughly 1 second, up to Adams Jr. Adams has easily the most wins. In fact, he's the only driver to have multiple wins this season, with 3 to his name. But the odd thing is either he wins or it's nothing. That's why he is not winning this championship right now, because those 3 wins were his 3 top 5s. Otherwise, if he wins or he's outside the top 5, he also has 3 poles. So he's been collecting those bonus points every time he can.
All right. Also hearing that Kelly Greenhoe has only got 1 to spare on the incident limit over the radio. So Greenhoe's day getting very, very rough. Again, Kalen continuing to close here a little bit. Danny Cervantes only about 0.7 of a second behind him.
You know what? I don't think that was a drive-through. I think that was a stop and go for Giancarlo Lenzi, because he's still got a black flag and he can't get another one. As, Greenhoe is off and he's out. Remember, he had to serve his penalty earlier. That's just what I was talking about right then. If you run to the second limit, that means you are immediately removed from the track. And now that means that Kelly Greenhoe really is out of this championship.
Oh, heartbreak there for Kelly after such a good couple run of races there for him. But look at this. Kalen out of the junction. 0.6 of a second with 4.5 minutes to go.
And small correction. Oh, it was because Giancarlo Lindsay stopped. It was a drive-through penalty. He failed to make it a drive-through. He tried to serve it as a stop and go. But in the meantime, the battle now is between Adams, Kalen, Cervantes, Holly, and they've dropped Kings. It's 1.8 seconds down for Ryan as he lost too much touch with them to be a factor. 4 minutes left to go, and it takes almost 2 minutes to get around here.
Yeah, so it should be probably about 2 laps to go at the line. We will have to see. But there is Odis Adams Jr. The weaving starts, trying to break that draft a little bit.
Lindsay's back through, and he this time actually does the drive through, so he's going to return in 12th. Still impressive, the speed that the front of the pack has had, because I would have thought Lindsay would be even farther down than that, as a battle into the Descida del Lago gives Paulo Coimbra 6th place over Venaro.
Yes, it does. So Coimbra's starting to work his way up a little bit. Now he's got 11 seconds to go. Ooh, is that going to be a little bit of a fight back? No, it's not.
Not this time, at least. Yeah, trying to give these guys some love. We've been watching that front group so much, but it's just been so tight there that it's hard to look away. But valuable positions here for these drivers, 6th and 7th, especially those who are hoping to help their team's championship try and get a better finish, although it's mostly a battle for second on that back and forth. Coming down into the braking for SA, one of our Crikey Motorsports drivers, able to get that spot. All right, Kalen is now right on top of Adams, and they're getting ready to cross the start-finish line. This is going to be 2 to go right here for this lead pack. Look at him fan out, DJ, as Adams goes very defensive, and Kalen is able to get up alongside. He can't cut down yet.
Can't cut down yet, but he is able to sweep around the outside, and that's going to be moved on for Mark Kalen. Danny Cervantes looking very interested as well, but does Odis Adams Jr. have a little bit of fight back here as they go on the Retro Aposta?
They still got another lap after this one. They can't throw it away yet. They might want to get aggressive, but they got to be sure to get the car to that checkered flag, as Cervantes and Holly are watching eagerly to see who will take the win in this short little battle and who will win the war, because Adams and Kalen have now moved Kalen to the front, but Adams wants to go around the outside, and this might be a bad move.
It might be Odis there, looking like he's going to lose out to Danny Cervantes. Cervantes again chucking that car in deep as they went their way through the corner. They have got to be very careful. This is getting close to tears.
One wrong move. We already have seen multiple drivers lose out, and there is a dive to the inside from Cervantes, but he backs out of it by the time they get to the apex. This is going to be white flag this time by, and they will get a long run up to the finish line on the last lap, so this doesn't have to be their last slipstream battle here.
No, it doesn't, and this may be a little bit of where that oval track experience can come into play for Mark Kalen, Danny Cervantes, and Bradley Holly. But as of right now, Kalen continues to lead. Odis Adams Jr. bringing that gap down, but it's a lot closer behind between Cervantes and Holly.
Will Holly start to make his move? Because he doesn't want to sit around in fourth forever. Yes, he wants to, but so does Cervantes. Looks like Odis Adams Jr. is going to be swamped on either side. And beautiful move by Cervantes. Timed to perfection as both of them get a bump from Adams Jr., but a little too wide. Off the corner for Danny. He's now slow, and he's trying to block off the inside, but he can't. Somehow, Adams squeezes by, and they're going to go 3 wide yet again.
Here we go, 3 wide down the Retro Aposta. Danny Cervantes trying to figure out if he wants to keep it 3 wide or back off. He's going to back off as they go down into the corner. Little bit of a push wide there, and Odis Adams Jr. has the position.
How long will he hold on to that as he lets it pull out wide coming off the decided Lago. This is all behind Mark Kalin, who's loving this. He is now a second and a half ahead of all of them, and Bradley Holly is flung off the course. Bradley Holly is down in fifth. Can he get the car going? It's not moving. He has to tow. He has to tow. Bradley Holly's not going to finish either. Does this mean that Adams Jr. is going to be easily the man to beat in the final round? Even if he finishes in second place, he is sitting pretty right now.
Yes, he is. He just doesn't want to throw it away. That car looked like it was getting a little bit squirrely there off the corner.
Kalin is well out of the slipstream, or even if he does give off of one, I don't think Adams is going to be able to have enough to try and slingshot past him as long as Kalin has enough fuel. Inside the car, look at him. Inside the cockpit, he can't believe it. That win is finally coming here in the MX-5s. No, is he out of fuel? He's weaving back and forth. This might be celebration. Can he make it? Yes, he can. Mark Kalin is going to take the win. Adams is behind by half a second as Kings gets third, and Cervantes pulls into pit lane. Is he serving a black flag? I couldn't tell as he's got the checkers next to his name. If he is going to be penalized, and that'll mean Venaro will get promoted from 10th to 4th after he had a very clean race back there. And Lindsay, after all of this, looks like he's going to wind up in 10th after all is said and done. What about our other drivers vying for the championship? Gonzalez will climb his way back to 11th. A topsy-turvy race here for this one. Waiting to see where is a bear, because I want to see if we can get the change in position for Cervantes if he had to serve a penalty there at the end of the race. This is a bear, so we should be able to hold on to make sure we can confirm the finishing order here at the end of the race, as the 16 car is going to finish 17th and the last one on the lead lap. So yep, and there it switches around. Let's go through our finishing order now that it has completed itself. Mark Kalin takes the win for the first time, I believe, in this MX-5 Cup Series. Odis Adams Jr. was second, and now most likely your championship leader. Ryan Kings was third. Andrew Venaro finished in fourth as Paulo Coimbra was fifth. Jason Larson up 10 spots to finish sixth. Ian Cabana was seventh today as Christian Lisiak gained 9 to finish eighth. Giancarlo Lenzi finished ninth, and Jose Gonzalez from the front row down to 10th.
In 11th, it was Danny Cervantes, followed by Brett Carricope with Kevin Berquist and Ryan Scott behind them. David Hebert was 15th, Ken Cook 16th, Malcolm Foster 17th. Bradley Holly, unfortunately, finishing a lap down there with Austin Bartlett Chase 19th, and Kelly Greenhoe a DNF on the day, likely ending his championship potential, Joe.
Looks like we'll have to wait to get to talk to Mark, but we'll chat with Odis Adams Jr., who we believe is now the championship leader after this race. Well, Odis, we knew coming in things were going to be tight. You needed a good result compared to the others, but you couldn't have asked for better other than maybe the win. A little bit bittersweet since you didn't take it. So what are you feeling right now?
No, I mean, points-wise, I'm feeling great. Didn't really practice all week. Been out of town most of the time, and but I'm generally pretty good at this track, so thought I could do well. After the pit stops, it seemed like Giancarlo was struggling a little bit, so I was pushing, trying to break the draft to him, but I thought Kalin was barely in Lindsay's draft, but he must have done a hell of a job catching up. And I think that whole time trying to break the draft, I was pushing really hard and just killed my tires off. Didn't really have anything there at the end. So kind of saw the writing on the wall there towards the end. But yeah, I think pushing way too hard too early. Second was the best I could get.
Talk about that pit entry with you and Giancarlo. What was your face like when you got that little hello?
Yeah, the whole first stint of the race, I was just trying to avoid contact. There's some contact, but yeah, it's racing. It's nothing big. And then pitting in, I was like, okay, Giancarlo's coming with me. Maybe we can work together. And I was like, well, he's pretty far back. I shouldn't have to worry about him hitting me. And then bam. So I was afraid it might make me speed, but it worked out. So it's all fine.
Well, impressive stuff. A second place today, and you head into the final round with a big advantage. Who helped make that happen?
Practicing with the guys today. Just working on lines and everything. All my not a team guys. Team Watson Racing for the setup was really good. I didn't love the way it felt, but everything else I tried was worse. So again, ended up just deciding to just push forward with that. And got to thank the family again. You guys at GSRC for putting on a great broadcast, and everybody over at PRL for doing such a great job.
That was Odis Adams Jr. and DJ's getting to talk to our winner here. The 62 gets victory in Sao Paulo.
I most certainly am, Mark Kalin. Congratulations, my friend.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, guys. Holy cow. I've been waiting years for that one.
Well, it looked like you just had it all hooked up all day long. I mean, practice, qualifying, in the race. Was there moments of doubt for you, or did you just have this down?
Honestly, I didn't feel like I had it down, but after last time we were here, I know me and Brad had one heck of a battle for the lead until my tires fell off. So I was confident coming in, and I just got on early, started doing a bunch of practice, and never looked back, and had one hell of a race.
That you most certainly did. I mean, we head to Watkins Glen next. Obviously, as a Cup driver, you probably know that one pretty well. Kind of similar characteristics to Interlagos in a lot of ways. Can we expect a repeat?
I certainly hope so. I'm going to give it everything I got, just like every week I do. But I tell you what, I've been with this PRL for almost 10 years, and that's my very first PRL league win. I can't tell you how many times I've come close. I have numerous runner-up finishes, but this one's special. This one's awesome.
It certainly is. Mark, anybody you want to thank on your first ever PRL win?
Yeah, I gotta thank the Whataback guys. Ever since joining the PRL on the iRacing side, I started with that group, and so I got to thank them for teaching me everything that I've been able to do. All the accomplishments, helping me get to my very first win. And, my friends out there that are watching on my streams or on the broadcast, my fiance for supporting me, and you guys up there in the booth for being there to share this special moment with me, and everyone at the PRL that puts on this awesome series of leagues.
Well, Mark, thank you, and congratulations yet again, man.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good one.
All right, that was Mark Kalin, your victor here today. And now, Joe, I think you've also caught up with third place, Ryan Kings.
Yep, we got a little bit of time for a quick one here with Ryan, who was third place out there today. That was frantic up there. How was that from your perspective? Because for the most part, you seemed like you were kind of bringing up the rear of that big group.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't really have the pace to catch up to that top group there. I got really fortunate at the end. They started battling so hard, and the collision happened at the end. I was not expecting a third.
Well, sometimes that's the way it shakes out. It's been something of an up and down season for you overall, but you're now heading into the finale next week on a bit of a high. Can you carry this momentum and maybe get yourself another win?
I'm hoping for another win to finish off the season strong. It's really more about momentum into next season. It's going to take a miracle for me to do anything this one, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to catch up to Adams Jr. in the final round, but still, congratulations on a podium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you one last time out in New York.
Thank you.
As Ryan Kings finishing third here today. That's going to take us to a quick break, but the racing's not over. The GT3 Sprint Series is up next, and that is at Brands Hatch. Stick around, because there's more to come.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. Do try to make it as easy as possible. And once we install, it's pretty much going to be a turnkey. So he's going to press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every question there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back. We're here for the PRL GT3 Sprint Series at Brands Hatch. If you haven't experienced this track before, it has a lot of history to it. Why don't we take a quick glance with our track guide? Welcome to Brands Hatch. When popular British racing circuits get listed, this track just to the southeast of London often finds itself near the top. The extensive history of the venue has meant that many famous names in racing have ran laps here. But the stats make it sound deceptively simple, with the Grand Prix and Indy course having 9 and 6 turns respectively. Laps might be short, but they're also fast, and the corners are often a challenge to get right. As you'd expect, that means passing is quite difficult, with most drivers leaning towards sending one up the inside at Druids. You might occasionally see overtakes into the first corner of Paddock Hill Bend, but the blind apex and gigantic drop in elevation make that an errand for only the brave. Many of the corner names pay tribute to famous British drivers from the past decades, such as Hill, Surtees, Sterling, and Clark. In fact, the fame extends beyond the drivers, but to the cars as well, with this place seeing everything from Formula One to Formula Ford, touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and even rallycross. It's a gorgeously scenic venue where lush trees envelop the back half of the course, while the front half is mostly encapsulated inside a natural amphitheater. This makes it extremely popular with race fans who can see a majority of the circuit from many seating positions. With a great location near a major metropolitan hub, a spectator-friendly layout, and an experience that challenges drivers, you can see why this place remains abuzz with racing to this day. Well, last week, DJ, we had the MX-5s here, and it was difficult in those cars. I can't imagine how hard it's going to be in GT3s now.
Yeah, Joe, it's going to be very, very difficult to get a pass done around here. Your only real chance of doing it is going to be going down through Paddock Hill Bend and into Druids. And even then, that's going to require a lot of commitment. Qualifying is going to be very, very key to get right around here. There's a lot of very, very sweeping corners. Hawthorne Bend, Westfield, Sheens, Sterlings. It's a lot of fast and flowing corners. So watch for a lot of drivers to make mistakes, and that, frankly, be the best way to get by.
Now, taking a look at the championship, like I said at the start of the show, it's a very opposite situation as Horvath could clinch here today and actually relatively easily with that 33-point gap. For everybody else, it's basically fighting for the scraps. What about the team's championship?
Well, in that team's championship, it's a relatively similar situation that YS Motorsports White can pretty much clinch here today. But SRT Esports Blue and Lunatic locked in a very, very close battle. And you can see the rest of it there. Sim Quebec, MR Motorsports, Team Beef, Lunatic, Martin Sport Racing, SDS Racing Team, Parabola Midnight, and FTR Esports.
As for today's race details, very similar to the last one, but just slightly longer, as we have a 40-minute event for this one. It's also open setup, and they still have the same penalties at 13 and 17 incidents. And there's your bonus points at the bottom, including the pole position, which has been decided now as we've just finished Q. And Drew Becker takes that one once again. That is his fifth pole of the season, so he's taken at least half of them. It's going to be Devin Horvath starting to his outside with Corey Precker in third. Michael Pavolano starts from fourth today. After that, Miguel Fonseca will be fifth. Ryan Putel, sixth place with Brett Thurman starting from seventh. You've got Colin McKenzie in eighth, and then row five as Ethan Tavitas and Alex Wright.
In 11th, it's going to be Tommy Brisson with Luke Davis flanking him. Paul Espina and Sean Carmody will be following them behind. Alan Roth is 15th, and Nicholas Matthews will be 16th with Roy Brown and Lucio Vargas in row 9. Blake Ziti is 19th, and Neil Alexander rounds out your top 20.
Eric Dubé will be 21st with Glenn Vonko 22nd. Then it's Andrew Ellis in P23. Baron Hilton starts from 24th. You've got Michael Blaze in the 25th spot. Then it's David Morse in 26th and Brian Hoskins 27th. Last two to set times were Robert Gao and Ryan Luna. From there, 30th, 31st, and 32nd are Rodriguez, Campbell, and Limon. And we'll see whether or not they can climb through the field, because Caleb should be a little bit higher than that, I'm pretty certain. Surprised to see him as far down as he is. We do have some onboard cameras here today as well. We've got Drew Becker with us from that pole position. Let's see if he can convert that into his third win of the season. And then you've got Corey Precker with us out there today, as Corey is going to be starting from the third position, so another high up driver. And then Paul Espina is here again, giving us a very cool view with multiple cameras on his perspective in the number 20. He's down in 13th, though. Had a little trouble in qualifying here today, did Paul, as we take off on the pace lap here today, DJ, on a rather warm British day.
Yeah, it is 98 degrees Fahrenheit out on track, and you'll forgive me there. Thank you, Zach. Forgive me, 37 degrees Celsius out on track. So that is very, very toasty for Brands Hatch. Drivers are going to be struggling, I think, for a little bit of grip out here, as this asphalt not normally used to temperatures that high. Also, keep an eye out for that wind. 8 miles an hour out of the south. That is a little bit gusty, and so we could see some maybe draft advantages here, as well as some buffeting coming through the corners.
Now, we'll try and keep you abreast of the championship situation, but the easy way to think of it is that Horvath has to outscore Pavolano by 5 points. Pavolano's second there and 33 back. Max is 38. And if they tie, it's going to be Becker or Horvath rather, that takes the tiebreaker just due to cannot be beat on wins. So 5 or more points better than what Pavolano gets, and he is your champion. I'm going to pull up a cheat sheet on how many points are where, but it might wind up being pretty easy to tell in the end on this, with Pavolano starting in fourth. He's going to have to make up positions, most likely.
Yeah, he's going to have to do a little bit of a charge here, and I've got to say, I'm surprised yet again. Drew Becker really putting that BMW through its paces. Not a car that I would traditionally think of as being the best around here. I would have actually thought the Porsche would have been particularly good, being able to rotate around the corners quite well, but Horvath and his Ferrari doing a fantastic job, as well as the Audis looking strong.
All right, as they get the green flag. Wow, that was a very good start for someone back there. I think that was Colin McKenzie, really flying up the outside as we come down into the first corner. Paddock Hill Bend. It's a site of some problems off them, and tip around. McKenzie gets hit. He's going to be prone across the track right on the racing line. That's a blind corner. Amazingly, everybody makes it past, but there's some more spins behind him, and it's a huge mess just past him.
And it looks like Alice, Alexander, Morse, Matthews, Campbell, Hoskins, almost everybody in the back of the field involved in it, and I think Horvath is headed off.
Oh, wow. So this might not be as straightforward as we thought for the championship. So Horvath is way down in 22nd place. He spun off of Graham Hill Bend. Becker is now your leader. Precker's in second, and Pavolano's in third.
Looking at that number 32 machine, I think he was able to escape without getting too much damage, but oh my goodness, that is the first error I think we have seen Devin Horvath really make all season long.
Okay then, so my calculations have to be adjusted dramatically, and I'll try and do my best to show us where we sit and how close Pavolano will be, so it's not as urgent. It'll just set up the finale unless Pavolano himself also has major issues out there today. Leading the first lap, Becker, who started it from the pole, is still going to be your top man. Corey Precker will be in second, Pavolano third, Fonseca now up into fourth position.
Yes, he is. Fonseca doing a good job hearing the Blake Ziti is going to be coming in on this lap. We've got a couple of battles playing out throughout the field. By the way, Becker had a bigger lead, but he had a little bit of an off coming down through, I believe it was Sheens, and no, excuse me, it was Westfield Bend, and that is what has been able to get this gap closed back in between himself and Corey Precker.
Coming through Sterling now, or excuse me, Surtees rather. We accelerate up over Pilgrim's Drop, and we're seeing quite a bit of a spread up at the front of the field. A lot of drivers have pitted in from that early incident. Limon, Vargas, Ziti, Alexander, Hoskins, and I expect Morse is in as well. Yes, he is. Well, it seems like that was a big compromise for a number of people. There you see them. They have no spare car, so they're going to have to sit and take those repairs and try and get back out to see what they can do. Meanwhile, here's Becker on your screen right now. 1 second lead over Corey Precker, who has come up from that third position into P2, but now he's going to need to find speed to challenge that 22.
Yes, he is. And that Audi, remember, tends to get speed on being nimble. It tends to generate that speed through the corners, so he should be able to do it, though. Although Becker setting the fastest lap of the race there, and that is almost a full couple of tenths there over Precker. A full 7, almost 8 tenths of a second faster than Corey Precker. We're seeing a little bit of the repeat that we saw a couple of weeks ago. I think Precker's holding up these drivers behind.
Now, here's where it gets interesting for Horvath and all of this. As let's take a look at that opening wreck while we've got an opportunity. Yeah, not seeing anything that looks like it's kicking off here, I'm trying to remember who it started with. I think McKenzie was the one that was spun across the track, but then everybody trying to avoid him then tangled with each other without hitting McKenzie, which was the weird thing in all of this.
Yeah, it really was. Oh, that's what it was, Joe. We had drivers coming up and avoiding McKenzie and getting off to the left there in that kitty litter, and that's what caused the big stack up.
Yeah, and at the track, you can see how it narrows up afterwards. Looks like we've got one of the drivers that spun off. Who is this we're looking at in the black car?
That looks like the 55 of Nicholas Matthews.
Yeah, he was one of the first to get spun out, and then it was so hard to tell what was going on. I don't blame anybody for getting collected in that from there on. What I was going to say a bit ago is the worst finish for Horvath has been a 7th place. That was 25 points with a bonus in that race. So he's going to score 25 points no matter what today, as we got another one in. That's Ryan Luna with some issues. Not sure if he also ran into a bit of an accident there on that lap. It's easy to do so. And Ziti has also had a wreck. He has just towed the car, so he is done. Oh, and Espina is trying to get back on. Oh, and Espina gets hit from behind the Team Beef car of Roy Brown. Unfortunately, just ran straight into the back of him. That was a bit of a poor rejoin from Paul Laspina.
Yeah, and some damage there to the right front of that Team Beef machine of Roy Brown. There, I got through that sentence eventually. And so he's going to be struggling a little bit here. Hopefully the suspension's not damaged and that is just aerodynamic.
So the essentially what we need to watch out for now in the championship is unless Horvath finishes 5th or better, and that's before the bonus points, he's going to get 25 points here today added to his tally. Otherwise, he's not going to outscore his drop week. And Pavolano needs to get as many as he can to cut that down. Right now, this third position gives 30 points for Pavolano, but he's already sizing up 2nd place as that's Precker directly in front of him, and they're only 3/10 apart.
Yeah, the problem here that Pavolano's going to have is just that inability to get a good move done. So very difficult to get a pass done here around Brands Hatch. Oh, as we've got another car around to the back, that's Tavitas.
Wow, a lot of trouble. Oh, but a spin now. Pavolano runs into, and Fonseca also runs into the side of Corey Precker. Unbelievable damage for the cars at the front of the field. First Horvath, now his rival Pavolano. And this means Poutel is in 2nd. Carmody is up to 3rd. How about Tamir Brisson and that Mercedes now up to 4th?
And that Mercedes has got to be a real bear to drive around here. We talk about the understeer in that car quite often. It is such a difficult car to drive, and he is going to be trying to have a little bit of a move here on Sean Carmody in the Lamborghini.
So he could get himself into the podium if he pushes hard. We hop on board with the bright green number 13, chasing down towards Clark and Clearways and exiting the corner. It's decent, but not enough for a pass into Paddock Hill Bend. There's plenty of racing to go for Tommy to try and make something happen.
Yep, there is plenty of time, and we have seen Tommy absolutely excel previously, so I have no doubt that he should just be able to try to keep all 4 tires on the road, as that is the other Mercedes in the field of Baron Hilton off and around.
Yeah, he is going to lose many positions here. He is down to 19th, and yeah, he's still on the lead lap. Does he keep going? Yes, he does. So he doesn't need to repair anything. Looks like he just kind of slid off into the infield all on his own there. Oh, okay, let's take stock. Becker leads, Poutel 2nd. Carmody sits in 3rd with Brisson hot on his heels. Top 5 rounded out by Alan Roth, who has gained 10 positions here at the start. Carmody's gained 11 himself.
Really remarkable stuff as they go. Coming down now, we focus back on that battle between Carmody and Brisson. And then this is in 7th place. This is Eric Dube up 14 in that Mercedes.
Yeah, 21st spot that he started in and has basically avoided all the chaos that has erupted in front of him and come away smelling like roses. And it looks like he's got Alex Wright up next, but behind him, Luke Davis is kind of sizing him up as that Ferrari would like to try and gain another position himself. We are just barely 9 minutes into this race, and already we've lost Paul Espina and Blake Ziti officially, but there's about half a dozen cars sitting in pit lane trying to take repairs themselves.
Yeah, a lot of drivers having that damage. The one good news, though, is that I don't think there's a whole lot of damage out on the track, really, with the exception of who we just watched there. That is Luke Davis getting past a little bit. Roy Brown having that damage that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, Roy Brown had a huge hit. No, that's actually not Roy Brown. That is Vonco that he was battling with in the 29. And then coming up the hill, being a little bit inconvenienced by David Morse, who tries to stay out of the way. It's a good tow from Horvath on Pavolano. And who would have expected that these two would now be battling for what is 12th place? Oh, what a big hit. Is this Dube? It is. Oh.
Oh, that's
curse.
Him down. Oh, and he's stuck in the barrier there. He looks like he's got some massive steering problems if he's not.
Westfield Bend bit him pretty bad. He hit the corner of the car Yeah, I think he might be limping home here as he starts getting it going through Dingledale and into Sheen. He's down to 18th. I wouldn't be surprised if he pits in. He might be able to make it to the finish from here, especially if he has a bit of a long stop to repair the car. But he could say goodbye to what was going to look like a fantastic haul of points for him here today. I said it was going to be tough. That might have been a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, just a little bit. And Joe, I got to be honest with you, I did not expect it to be this tough out here. We've seen GT3s at this course before, not really this much calamity. And I think the biggest thing to chalk this down to is the hot track temperatures.
Certainly, it's almost 100 Fahrenheit now, so it's gone up just a bit. But a good run from Pavolano. He's managing this quite well. Did Horvath get any damage from his contact? I'm not seeing any on the car here. Yeah, it looks like it's clean to me. So not sure why he's having problems getting a lot closer here to the back of the 101. Usually he's outpaced him. But Pavolano is going to try and make the best of this, even if he's not going to be able to outscore him by a whole lot. In fact, well, I guess unless Horvath, Pavolano gets up to 5th place, he also is not going to have a good one. And now it's Broussard, another Mercedes with a problem, this time having a huge thwack into the pit retainer, as I think that might have been a massive shunt because you're coming off with some good speed from Clark Corner.
Yeah, you really, really are. And there you can see getting that car up to speed, that's going to drop him all the way down in the order into 14th place. Robert Go coming up behind him right now in 15th. You think he's going to be able to hold on to that for now?
Well, I went back and looked at the replay myself. Tommy missed the barrier the first time, and then he pulled forward and hit it. So a little bit of brain fade in that heat of the moment, trying to get the car rolling yet again. The 13 now down to 14th position, another car off. This one's Ryan Luna, who's already a lap down. Thankfully, he has the wherewithal to know he needs to pull backwards so that he can get a nice safe rejoin here.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pull off out of the way. A couple of cars able to piece their way by him, and Luna already a lap down, so just letting everybody by him. He is just trying to circulate around here and pick up the max haul of points, I think, at this point.
Well, last time out, we had the incident points become a bit of an issue with multiple drivers getting black flags. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of them suffering from that here today. But this man is having no such issues. A massive 8.3 second lead, and we haven't even hit the halfway mark.
Yeah, this is pretty massive here for Becker, and the one thing that he's going to have to worry about now, and it's something that we didn't get a chance to mention before, because this is a relatively smaller circuit, he may have a little bit of traffic that he's going to have to deal with before the close of this race, Joe.
Yeah, there was quite a few cars out there, but they've been whittled down a little bit. Looks like a lot of them have gotten back out. I think there was such a big accident that most people thought they could try and still gather up some finishing points just by getting back out on track. And this is Fonseca here that we're looking at, who is currently being chased by Brett Thurman. This is for 8th and 9th. They've got Pavolano and Horvath behind them, and Horvath is a lot closer than what we witnessed before.
Yeah, I think he was maybe just letting his tires cool off a little bit there, wanting to push ahead. There you can see it on your screen, that 32 Ferrari, and that's a spinner that's going to check up Pavolano.
It was Alexander. That was a lap down car, thankfully able to stay out of the way, but a little look to the inside and some contact between Pavolano and Horvath. So Devin knows he's got nothing to lose. He's making this an urgent issue.
Yeah, he is pushing on that now as they fly their way down the hill here into Clark's, trying to see if he can get it. I said this was going to be one of the better overtaking moves. He's going to try to look to the inside here as they go down the main straightaway and into Paddock Hill Bend.
Ferrari versus BMW into the right-hander, and the inside line allows Devin Horvath to take the spot away. We could see an undercut from Pavolano. No, instead he has to go defensive on Vargas, who, well, no, excuse me, Vargas is 8 laps down. He is not fighting for position.
No, he is not. So what's going to be interesting here is to see if Horvath is going to be able to pull away a little bit. He's only got about 9/10 of a second up the road to be able to catch up to Brett Thurman. So he doesn't have that much farther to go here.
So I wonder what this changes for our hard chargers as well, because before it was Dubé, but looks like Rob Campbell now is the one who's gained the most. He, however, did not set a qualifying time. The 93 has gone from 30th to 15th.
Yeah, it's a good run there for that Audi driver, but not really able to come for the hard charger as he did not set a qualifying time, as you said earlier, though. He's looking like he's got a good amount of time to be able to catch up to Tommy Brisson, though, about 7.5 seconds up ahead to get to that Mercedes.
You can see how much slide they have to put in these cars to get through some of those corners. He's really chucking it through. Somebody into pit lane. That's Luke Davis. That's one of our front runners. This is a very early stop. Did he have an issue on this lap, maybe? Checking to see, because usually we do not see drivers come in at this stage.
Yeah, this is extremely early. I wonder if he's just trying to get out of traffic a little bit, and maybe that's what it is. That looks like a pretty standard stop to me, Joe.
Yeah, I went and checked. He didn't have any issues that I could tell, and he is going to emerge behind Dubé, who looks like no, Eric hasn't even pitted yet. So Eric's still rolling along. He still needs to make a stop. He's behind Luke, or he's ahead of Luke Davis, who just finished his stop, and then Robert Gow is behind him. So if he was hoping for clear track, the bad news is the 72 didn't get it.
No, he did not, as we focus in on this little battle that we've got going on. I believe this is for 11th position. This is Vanco, Tavitas, and Brisson.
Going to go around the outside of Brisson, who had a little bit of a peak, and I don't think that is a spec wing for Ethan Tavitas, as it is a little crumpled. Oh, Fonseca with a problem coming off of Sheen. He looks like he's well off the racing line. Yeah, and everybody's able to avoid him as he finds an opening and gets that McLaren moving. I was just going to say that he was at the front of a huge train, and it looks like he succumbed to the pressure.
Yeah, and I'm not really surprised. That McLaren has got to be an absolute handful around here. We always talk about that off-throttle oversteer that the car can get, and with all of these corners that are frankly just fast sweepers to be able to get themselves around, that car has got to be an absolute handful.
So Rob Campbell now pits. Looks like Nick Matthews also pitted in, but look at this fight. This is for 6th place. That's Roy Brown, and Fonseca was a part of this. Little deeper into the corner, and it's almost a repeat of what we saw before with Pavolano making a move, but this time it's Horvath on Brett Thurman. Oh no, and he comes back onto the track, and he gets spun around. And this is going to almost allow Brisson to get through, not without himself having to get into the side of Tavitas, who now spins, and Brett Thurman makes contact, and yet more issues. Glenn Vonko gets spun around. What is happening on this track?
My goodness gracious, Joe, this is just absolute calamity. Corner all the way around the circuit.
Oh, and now he's causing more incidents. I think there are a lot of drivers that are going to need to take a look at the safe rejoin rule, because there have been some very suspect rejoins, and look at this.
And that's Horvath.
He should know better. He really should know better. And he's going to take a tow. So Horvath is finally going to wave the white flag on that one, realize he's not going to be able to get the car turned around. And there's definitely some heated drivers out there on the track. But above it all, Drew Becker is looking like he might be able to get himself a 3rd win of the season. It's just a bit of a shame he's too far back in the points with such an up and down season.
Yeah, it really is. Although the one thing that has to be said is that he's going to have to be careful navigating through this traffic with just as many problems as we've seen. He could very easily find himself get collected by a spinning lapped car.
So yet more drivers have found themselves in pit lane taking repairs because of that. And we are at least within the pit window at this stage. Highest driver to have pitted is actually Luke Davis right now in 10th position, who is, well, in a side-by-side battle through Hawthorne. Not often you get to see that with Eric Dubé, and it looks like the 87 is able to hold him at bay for the time being.
All right, so Brisson, even with that damage, excuse me, Dubé, even with that damage, going to be able to get himself up through. Kudos there to him. That is not going to be healthy on that car, as it looks like we have Pavolano coming down pit lane.
So Pavolano might still get a decent finish out of this one, especially compared to his rival, who's still going to have 25 points added to his tally. Where will Pavolano come back out is the question. Does he have any repairs that he needs to do? Or is he able to emerge with a standard pit stop time? It's looking a little long. Yeah, it's long. Pavolano is in there for a while. 20 seconds now. This is extremely long. He must not have that great handling of a car. Well, there goes that. We thought that there could be a chance he could still salvage a finish, but this is going to put paid to that. But what this does do, DJ, is this offers up a lot of drivers that we don't usually see on the podium an excellent opportunity.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Patel and Alan Roth right now, two drivers that we are not normally seeing. And remember when I said at the beginning of the race that the Porsche should be good around here? Well, that's what's running 2 and 3 right now. Now, let's be clear. It's because they're able to just get their way around as we got another driver off.
Is that McKenzie again? I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, that is Colin McKenzie coming out of Graham Hill Bend. That was a solo spin for him, so don't need a replay on that one. The 15 is actually still running in 16th, but a lap down. We only have 15 cars left on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, and as I look right now, looks like a couple of them are going to go multiple laps down as McKenzie getting ready to be put a lap down here soon.
Yep, so when will we see those top runners start to pit in? They've got maybe about 8 more minutes before the fuel window should close. Becker out of Sterling Bend is up to 11.3. Now, he put a lot of distance between himself and Drew early on, but he hasn't been running away quite as quickly since earlier. So I'm not sure if this is him managing it or if he just got most of that due to all the wrecks at the start. As he gets a little smile here. I'm not sure if he knows he's on camera right now or not.
No, I think he's probably one of the few drivers out here today that's actually smiling, Joe, as he just seems to be driving a Sunday drive out here, though he is going to have a little bit of that lap traffic to come on right now. That looks to be like Morse, Vanco maybe up ahead of him.
Don't need to go to it, but Ryan Luna had another off into Paddock Hill Bend, and he's going to try and get the car rolling as well. So as we continue to follow Becker over Pilgrim's Drop, that's David Morris, who gives them a cue to go left. Nice and easy pass for Drew Becker. Here's that lap traffic you were talking about, DJ. Nick Matthews, Brian Hoskins, and Rob Campbell up next. Now, Matthews and Campbell are battling for position, but they are split by Hoskins there.
And this is exactly what I was talking about there, Joe, is Becker barely able to get around the 520 of Hoskins.
Whew. You know, I'm just to cover it off, I'm going to check to see if Putel has had a win so far this season. No, he has not. So, and he's actually third in the points right now. So Putel's been doing pretty decent so far in this season, but doesn't have a win quite yet. The way things are going, you just don't know.
Yeah, you really don't know here, Joe, as we do watch Patel working his way around. He's got plenty of breathing room behind him. Alan Roth about 9 seconds back, so it's not like he's got a push here. He's in the same position as Becker. Just get to the end of this race.
Also, don't know if we mentioned it, but Michael Pavolano had a 53-second stop. He's back out and in 16th place. He's a lap down from Becker, about half a lap down, but Becker will pit and probably put him back on the lead lap here once he is in. So we now check out another one of our Porsches. This is Alan Roth, who's being chased by Alex Wright. It's one of our few somewhat of a battles out there. They're about a second and a half apart. I think our closest one right now is Fonseca and Brown for 10th position. But Brown has already taken his stop, and it does look like Roy is still limping a bit from some of his earlier damages. Fonseca's catching him pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Fonseca's had a trip through the grass as well, but you can see there on the right front of that Ferrari, the bodywork crinkled in pretty heavily there. That will be affecting his straight line speed more than likely, but yeah, as they go.
So let's see if he has an easy pass here over Pilgrim's Drop, as he's going to hold the right-hand side. Does he drift across? No, he'll stay defensive. Fonseca thinks about it, then thinks twice. I think he knows he's quicker. He's going to wait for the high percentage move to try and make this happen.
Yeah, if I were him, I'd try to set this up where we saw a couple of passes earlier get made, as I said, going down the Brabham Straight into Paddock Hill Bend. That's going to be his best opportunity. The right-hander there at Hawthorne, it's not really that heavy of a braking zone, not the best place to get that overtake done.
Almost wonder if Fonseca should maybe pit in this time as well, since he still needs his pit stop. We're about 14 minutes left to go. So now's as good a time as any, and he doesn't have to make the pass on track. No, he's going to stay out. Will it be into Paddock Hill Bend? He's close, but not close enough. Maybe something to the Druids if he gets himself a better exit. Tidier down to the apex than that red and white Team Beef car. As close as he is, it's not close enough.
No, and there you see the problems of Brands Hatch, just so tricky to overtake. By the way, Baron Hilton in the pit lane right now, pitting out of, I believe, 13th.
Our leader continued on by. Putel's going to keep going. Looking to see who else is going to elect to pit this time by. There's Putel as well. Alan Roth decides not to pit. Yeah, no takers up at the front at this stage. Interesting stuff. But eventually, they will absolutely need fuel, as they have limited the fuel cells compared to real life in these GT3s, so they can't make the full 40-minute race distance. They will need to at least take the gas. They don't have to take tires. We 9 times out of 10 don't see them take the tires in this race, so don't look for any sort of strange strategy with that on this one. But Putel himself still dealing with the lap traffic. That's Baron Hilton, as we mentioned, after his pit stop. Sort of in the way, but let's see whether or not he's actually faster, as he has a bit of a moment. Now let's buy the 14 car.
Oh, Joe and Fonseca having a look on Roy Brown going down into turn 1 right now. They're side by side out of Paddock Hill Bend.
He's got the inside up towards Druids. Can he seal the deal? Still fighting around the outside. Eventually, Roy Brown can't do it. And yeah, he'll have to accept defeat on that one. He gets sent to 11th. Fonseca into the top 10. But Miguel does need to make his pit stop. Oh, and Becker is in. Looks like Putel is in as well.
I wonder if this is the end of the expected fuel window here, Joe, at about 12 minutes. That's right about where we'd expect it to see.
So Roth is in. Alex Wright pits. Yep, I think this is going to be it. Carmody, though, stayed out, so he's going to be able to go an extra lap. It's not that long of a lap time around here. And Becker is already back out on track. In fact, Becker is only 1.3 seconds behind Carmody, so he's basically got a pit stop on him.
I mean, that just shows you the pace here that Drew Becker has had. Yeah, there you can see him running, and that's actually Pavlano that's going to get out of the way a lap down.
Oh, wow. So where's Pavlano on the points chart here? This is 16th, assuming he's not going to get any of the bonus points because he didn't take pole. I'm pretty certain he does not have the fastest lap. Actually, that might be up for grabs. No, it looks like a couple other drivers are quicker than him. And he definitely doesn't have a clean race. So at 16th, he's going to get 15 points here. And I don't think he has drop points to his name. No, he does not. So, yeah, he is only going to get those 16, which means as it sits, even though Horvath is still in pit lane and looks like he might not even be able to take the checkered flag on this race, I think Devin Horvath is still going to clinch the championship.
My goodness, as Sean Carmody does come down pit lane, releasing Drew Becker. But yeah, to your point about Horvath, sometimes you just have that dominant of a season, Joe.
That's not quite the way that we wanted to see it end, but a championship is a championship. And there you see Horvath still sitting there having to get those repairs done. Where is Carmody going to return? He's rolling. Roth is rolling. This is going to be the battle for third. Where will he return? And Roth is by, so Allen is now onto the podium.
Able to retain that position there, the two Porsches on that podium spot. But I've got to say, Carmody here, 1.7 seconds behind. If he pushes, he can certainly try to close this down a little bit.
Dubé pits. We still need Fonseca, and Fonseca carries on for another lap. Gao pits in. Is this going to give Poblano some more positions? No, he's a little too far behind, so he's not going to be able to get those for now.
Oh, I think that was Roy Brown that just went around.
Yes, that was. That was near Tommy Brisson, and actually gave Tommy quite a scare coming through Druids, which is a little blind around that Armco barrier into that uphill right-hander.
Yeah, it can be a very, very terrifying position to be put in, to have somebody off like that. But luckily, Brisson able to just thread the needle there, frankly, around that spinning Team B Ferrari.
Looks like Ryan Luna has run out of incident points and has taken a disqualification in this race. That's actually our first one in the race. But there have been other black flags that drivers have had to serve coming down pit lane in the meantime. So, whoa, and Fonseca, no! And another car that winds up hitting somebody, and this time it's Brisson, and that was a pretty good thwack. I don't know if Tommy's going to be able to get to the finish. Yeah, he's got a meatball flag. He takes a tow. Tommy is now done. This is good news for Poblano. He's going to get promoted to 14th with that one. Campbell needs to pit in. If Campbell gets put down a position by Michael, that's 13th. That'll be up to 18 points. That's still not going to be enough. I believe 11th place is what Poblano needs here to keep the championship alive. No, he needs 10th place because he cannot tie him in points after this.
Well, he just got a little bit of help there from Baron Hilton, who just spun out and took a tow. So that is going to promote Poblano up into 13th.
Okay, so maybe it's not over yet as he goes by the pit lane. Not going to inherit any spots here because we do still need Rob Campbell to pit in, or do we? Campbell's had his last one was a drive-through, it looks like. So he has been down pit lane. That means he may have actually taken a pit stop already.
Yeah, it was a quick one, Joe. I have him stationary in the box at 11 seconds, so it was a very quick stop, but it was a stop nonetheless.
Okay, so yes, he has taken service, so no, he does not need to come down pit lane again. So Poblano needs to make up 3 spots. He's got 7 seconds to make up to Gao. It's another 6 to Matthews, and Dubé another 8. At this point, he's got to hope that the way this race is going carries on and just more drivers in front of him wreck from here, I think. He's not going to be able to run them down in 7 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. He has just got to hope for exactly what you said there, Joe. Just kind of pray that there's some problems. But we've got a little bit of a battle out on track. Alan Roth and Sean Carmody running under 0.5 of a second away from each other.
Roth a gain of 12 positions. Carmody up 10 positions. I said there'd be some spots to try and clinch here today if you just keep the car clean. And look how good through Westfield Bend Carmody is. He closes down to nearly a car length behind on the number 12. Well, better once again through Sheen. It seems those fast corners are suiting the Lamborghini a little bit better than the Porsche.
I'm a little bit surprised by that, as I would expect that Porsche to have a little bit better rotation there through those corners, but seemingly that Lambo able to make it work quite well, carrying some good speed there, trying to go for a little bit of an undercut as they come down the Brabham Straight.
Trying to see how many DNFs we've actually had here today, because so many of them are grayed out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of 31 cars are officially out, and yet there are more than that that are still in the pits taking repairs. So we're looking at more than a third of our fields falling victim to Brands Hatch.
Wow, Joe, I mean, that's really just about all I can say to that. I did not expect this kind of utter calamity from this track here today. This is a big surprise.
It definitely is for me as well. continue to watch this fight. Still only 2/10 between Sean and Alan. Onto the backstretch. Last time, Carmody was quicker. Oh, did you see that catch for the Lambo as the 40 had a huge tank slapper and somehow kept it from spinning out?
Incredible stuff there from Carmody. He is absolutely hooked up today, not to be denied.
Oh, but look at the lap traffic. And thankfully, great heads up there by David Morse to get out of the way just in time. But that checked up Alan Roth and probably sent his heart into his throat.
Yeah, I certainly think it did. And now, because of all of that, Carmody looks like he's lost about 1/10 of a second, not really able to be in position to attack here.
Looks like we're at about 5 laps to go. So not much more for these drivers to bring this to the finish. Oh, and Rob Campbell's had a problem. This is out of Sheen, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, what kind of damage does he have? And it does look like he's not got a black flag or a meatball flag, so he's able to carry on. Don't think he's going to be caught by Pavolano, so don't think Michael's going to get another position. However, Pavolano has caught up to Gao. The 115 has either been slow or he's had his own issues out on track, so Pavolano might get one more here.
He may be able to take that one more away. Yeah, he's got the gap under 9/10 of a second here as they fly down towards Clark's. That BMW still working here in the latter stages of the race.
Now, here's the other fly in the ointment. Becker needs to pass Nick Matthews and I think Eric Dubé. Yeah, he's got to lap them because otherwise, if they do not get lapped by Drew Becker, then Pavolano will not be able to pass them. He's a lap down. He'll be trapped. And that will absolutely be championship hunt over.
Yeah, he has got to try to do this here if he can at all costs, Joe.
Oh, and things are getting tighter between Roth and Carmody. In fact, Roth is going defensive up into Druids. Could there be an over-under from Sean? He wants it, but once again, spinning up those rear tires. Carmody looks a little too eager.
Yeah, I think he was, and that was some good defense there from Roth as well. You notice how he really planted that car at the apex, prevented from any bit of that crossover from Carmody. So good defense from the number 12 Porsche.
Up onto Pilgrim's Drop. And, oh, Campbell had another off track. He's down to 11th now. And Pavolano, yeah, he's still a long ways away, though. Looks like it's about 10 seconds between them right now. But more spins will mean that Pavolano will get at least one more maybe from Campbell and maybe one from Gao. But he needs Matthews to be passed by our leader along with Campbell. As Becker is approaching them. We continue to watch this battle for third on screen. Defensive move from Roth down into Clark. This is going to put him offline, but doesn't look like Carmody can get the over-under. If he could have gotten down to the apex, he may have had a better launch.
Yeah, I think he just carried too much speed into the corner. Wasn't able to get that nose down really where he wanted to, Joe. And again, off the apex there, coming down through Paddock Hill.
So who will finish on the podium? The last step has not been decided. Patel is well clear of them, and then Drew Becker is an amazing 20 seconds ahead of anybody else out on the track. But these two, they want to try and capitalize on what has been a topsy-turvy race here today. And with us ticking now under 121, that is a single lap. That means this time by, it is going to be white flag for Drew Becker, because he is coming up to the final corner.
Yes, he is. He works his way through Clark's, and now he is going to have a little bit of lap traffic up ahead of him in the form of Rob Campbell and Nicholas Matthews, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to want to catch them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him back off a little bit on this lap.
And Pavolano is starting to try and take a look on Gao as well. In fact, he poked his nose to the inside, but couldn't make it stick. That's Limon behind him. That's not for position. And Pavolano knows that this has got to be moves of desperations here. He's got to get 3 positions in 1 lap effectively. So his race and his championship hopes are effectively over.
Yeah, they are. He is. I would not be surprised if we see a big ascent here from the 101, maybe going down into Hawthorne.
Meanwhile, Drew Becker ahead of him is not caught up to those in front of him. Campbell and Matthews are still well up the road. Unless they slow intentionally and let him by, he will trap Pavolano a lap down here, and that will be the championship right there as he comes out of Sterling and into Clark. Drew Becker will take the win here today, although he won't be in the championship after this. Drew Becker will have his third win of the season in the PRL GT3 Sprint Series. Putel is a long ways back here. He is going to come across the line about 10 seconds ahead of Alan Roth, up 4 spots for an excellent run in this Porsche, as he's actually followed across the line by Lucio Vargas. And then you go to Alan Roth, who is in a side-by-side battle. Carmody tries to go the long way around, but it was not to be. Great defense by the 12 machine, who does get his podium today, up appropriately 12 spots.
A good run there for Patel. He's got to be very, very happy about that, as we've got one last battle out on track. I believe this is Roy Brown and Brett Thurman.
It is indeed. Also, Campbell and Matthews are relatively close. Campbell's had a bit of a bad couple laps, but it looks like Brown will be able to retain that 7th place. Only 11 cars on the lead lap from this one, and it doesn't look like Campbell has the legs, as that's Matthews there in the black BMW, who is clear of him. But there's your victor on the screen. We're going to hopefully get to chat with him in a bit. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
Welcome back. We just saw the penultimate round of the PRL GT3 Sprint Series with Drew Becker taking the win, but by our mathematics, Devin Horvath is your champion, even though he didn't even finish the race. Ryan Putel was second, and Alan Roth jumped himself up 12 positions to take a podium today. Sean Carmody made it tight at the end, but just didn't have enough to try and get that spot away from him. Alex Wright with a top 5 was followed by Luke Davis in 6th, and then Roy Brown up 10 positions for 7th. It was Brett Thurman in 8th position. Eric Dubé still climbed up a bunch of them, 12 position gains for him as well into 9th, as Nick Matthews winds up in 10th.
In 11th, it was Rob Campbell, last driver on the lead lap. Robert Gow was 12th, followed by Pavolano with McKenzie, and the last driver 1 lap down. Then we get into some of the drivers that had damage early on that had to come back: Morse, Brisson, Hilton, Fonseca, Vargas, and Luna.
Then from there in 21st, it was Caleb Lemon, Andrew Ellis in 22nd, and Devin Horvath 23rd. Glenn Vonko finished P24, and Tavitas 25th. This is the drivers mostly who were DNFs from here. I don't think any of them managed to get to the checkered flag. So out of our 31 starters, I think we only wound up with maybe about 19 or 18 of them seen the finish. But the man that did get to that checkered flag first was Drew Becker with his 3rd win of the season. Drew, you started from pole, or did you have any clue what was happening behind you? Because there was plenty of stuff going on.
So the only thing that I saw was Devin go out behind me, which hurts me deeply because Devin and I have been practicing a lot together and communicating. So I saw that, and after that, I just kind of decided to open like a 5-second gap as best I could and manage my tires and my fuel and try and extend a little bit. So I didn't hear much of it, but my teammates were definitely telling me about it.
Well, you took, I think, well, did you get max points? Did you get a clean race? Looks like yes, you did. So max points there, but it came a little too late with the drop points saving Horvath. I mean, that's got to be a little bit frustrating, feeling like things are finally coming good right at the end, but you're still out of reach.
It hurts, but Devin's extremely fast and super consistent, better than I was, obviously in the first probably 2/3 of the season. So congrats to him. I'm at this moment, I'm chasing Patel, and unfortunately for me, he finished second, but great race from him. So I'm just trying to sweep up that P3 or maybe even P2 if I can make the last 4 races a sweep.
Well, the way the day went for Babalano, it's not out of the question here today. I mean, who do you have to thank for what was an impressive victory at a day where everybody else floundered?
Really just all the guys at Lunatic, the entirety, building up for the practice for the race. I was not very confident. Never did any races on Brands Hatch. I just did hot laps on my own, and eventually I found that I had the pace. So they just kind of encouraged me to keep it smooth and not push as hard as I usually do. So shout out to Lunatic guys.
That was Drew Becker in the 22, who takes another victory and is still pushing hard for his goals at the end in the championship. Up next, I believe DJ is caught up with third place finisher Alan Roth.
I have indeed. And Alan, talk me through those last couple of laps. There's some very stout defense from you on Sean Carmody.
Yeah, no, Sean, he was really fast. He had spun ahead of me earlier on in the race, and I thought he was done and out. And then I think he gained like a 7/10 one lap. I was a little relaxed, so I had to put the gas down and go defensive. But credit to Sean, he didn't run me off. And we had a great battle near the end there. I'm happy I held on to it, but yeah, he was pushing hard.
Well, in terms of that, I mean, how much were you really having to drive defensively, and how much were you just sort of allowing this track to be able to do it for you? It's such a difficult track to overtake on.
It is, and I didn't think it'd be that bad and that hot, but your front left tire is cooking, and this track, you got to preserve your tires, especially your front left. So the whole race, I was thinking preserve the tires. And a couple of corners, I was faster than Sean on my exit. I just focused on that and then went defensive the other corners.
Well, you did a fantastic job. Obviously, a lot of calamity in tonight's race, but next time out, we go to Interlagos. Do you think that's going to be at least a little bit of an easier run for y'all?
Well, I'm not sure if it'll be an easy run for me because I don't know the track at all, actually, because I've never raced there. So I'll have to buckle down and learn it, but I did not expect to do this well tonight, but this track swallowed up a lot of people, and maybe I can pick up some space at Interlagos.
Well, Alan, we wish you all the best of luck when you get there, my friend. But anybody you'd like to thank for this third place run here tonight?
Well, I think just need to thank the track, because there was so much carnage at the beginning. All I did was keep it clean with Carmody and Brisson at the start, and then all of a sudden they were gone too. So I guess I'd like to thank the track for giving me all these spots, and Carmody for a good race near the end there. It made it exciting, but yeah, I'm happy for P3.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here up in the booth, Alan, and congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good job, guys.
Well, Joe, that was Alan Roth, your third place finisher here today.
Indeed. And well, we believe Horvath will be champion, but again, it is unofficial because obviously there might be penalties after tonight, and you can cop penalty points to your championship, and that could bring the likes of Poblano back into it. We'll have to wait and see. As far as we can tell, unofficially, Horvath is your champion. That's going to wrap us up with some thank yous, though, as we will give a huge thanks to ASR, who designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com, as well as RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebutkicker.com. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storeenvy.com. We'll keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Next time, it's going to be Watkins Glen for the MX-5s and Interlagos for the GT3s. That'll be Monday, May 23rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.